Hi there and welcome to the next tutorial on Final Cut Pro X. And in this tutorial we're going to continue from the last one where I showed you the basics of setting up a library, an event and a project within that event. And we imported our media and we dragged one into the timeline and we used the very basic editing tools to adjust the length of our clip so we had the section that we wanted. Now we're going to drag in another video clip here. What we'll do this time is I'll show you that you can actually select the section that you want before you even drag it in. So let's go from here, and I want to go until the last runner has gone by us. So that would be here. So I can pre-select it and drag in, and then I'll just get that section that I actually want. So now when we play this, you'll see there is a sudden change from one video to the next. So I want to make that transition a little bit smoother. We don't want it to just jerk like that. Let me just nudge this one back a little bit. So we don't want that sudden jerk, that sudden transition. So over here on the right side, we got our transitions panel. You just select it. It's this one here, the kind of square with the four triangles on it. So you select that, and you'll see we've got all different types of transitions here. Final Cut Pro comes with many different types of transitions already, and we can just drag these in. Some of the transitions I've got here are actually plugins which I purchased from a transition website that sells plugins for Final Cut Pro. I'll cover those in another tutorial. But right now, let's just look at the standard ones that come with Final Cut Pro. So let's say, for example, we want to go with a straightforward dissolve. So a cross dissolve, this will dissolve from one scene into the next. So we would just select it, and we drag it across and drop it in the gap between our two clips. You'll see we get an orange line above here. That means that the transition is yet to be applied. Once that orange line has disappeared, it's now being applied. And now when we play this, you'll see we get a nice transition between one and the next. So from one to the next, it'll now fade from one scene into the next, instead of being that sudden transition. Now, we can also alter the length of this transition, how long you want the fade to last. So we can just drag it exactly the same as we did. Just zoom in a little bit. Exactly the same as we do for editing our clip length, we can also edit the length of that transition. So now when we play that, again, wait for the effect to be applied. So we've still got the orange line, and this will count up to 100% once it's been applied. There we go. So now we'll get a little bit snappier transition between one video and the next. If you select the transition over here in our properties here, you can choose the type of transition that we've got. There's different properties for the transition. So we've got the ease amount, the ease in and out. So the ease in and out is kind of how we ease into the transition and ease out of the transition. So what it means is that the transition doesn't run at a constant speed. It means it will kind of start slow, speed up towards the middle, and then slow down towards the end. That would be ease in and out. If you just want to ease in, it'll start slow and speed up and maintain that speed. And if you want to ease out, it'll start fast and then slow down towards the end. So you can choose how you want the transition to be done. You can choose the ease amount, so how much of a speed difference we actually get. And again, whenever you make any of these changes, you probably just want, before you preview them, to wait for them to be applied, for the orange bar to disappear. And now let's have a look at how that's changed our transition. So you saw there, now the transition kind of comes in a little bit differently. It's faster. So by playing around with the properties of the transition, you can change how it actually looks. So let's remove the fade and let's look at a different type of transition. So let's go to movements. So this type of transition, let's have a look. Let's go for a mosaic. So if we select it, we drag it in and drop it into our project, and we'll wait for it to be applied. See, we're counting up here. There we go, and our orange bar is gone. So now you'll see our transition is the mosaic's flipping over. Again, we can change the speed of it, so we could make it longer if we want the transition to be longer. We just drag it out, wait for it to be applied, and hit play. And you'll see now it lasts a little bit longer. We can change the style, so we could change it to a wave, and we could change the border. That's the width between each one of the mosaics. We could make that bigger. And again, wait for it to be applied. And we'll play it, and now you should see the differences that's made. So there you go. That's basically how we import a transition and we drag it in between two video clips. So it's pretty straightforward to make a very basic transition from one piece of video to the next. It makes the transition smoother, or you can make it pop out at the screen. There's many different transitions that come already included with Final Cut Pro. Saves you a lot of time doing these things manually. You could make a fade transition yourself by keyframing, and I will actually show you how to do that in later tutorials. But for a lot of the standard types of transitions that you're going to want to make between one video clip and the next, most of them are already provided here for you with Final Cut Pro already. You've got different types of transitions, lens flares, flashes, cross dissolves, blurs, movements. There's many different types. I don't really have time to go through them all in the tutorial, and they all work in the same way. You just drag and drop it in and between the two video clips, and then play around with the effects. So this one, we're swapping the video, you can see here, so it will basically swap one to the next. And you can change that if you want it to go left to right or right to left. So there you go. That's it. That's how you apply a transition effect between one video clip and the next. In the next tutorial, we'll cover a little bit about audio and how we can begin to separate audio tracks out, apply background music, etc. to our Final Cut Pro video. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in our next tutorial.